Hey, this is HK Perrin, and you're listening to Echoplex Media. Check out Echoplex Media at echoplexmedia.com, where you can find more Echoplex Media.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for beautiful food and inspiration.
Everyone, welcome to Downballot. We do the show live every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. A programming note will be off next Tuesday because I go to an open mic once a month down out here in Fremont, and next Tuesday I'm going to go to that open mic. So we'll have a week off here, Councilman. And
we'll see you next Tuesday.
The following Tuesday. Anyway, I'm Producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr.
Greetings, Producer Dave. Happy to be with you as always. This is the Councilman. You can find me on X at THE_Councilman, although I'm there quite a bit less. In fact, you'll probably find me more often than not in the baby section at Target, shopping for them mad deals on baby food pouches and diapers and all that mad shit, because that's where it's at right now for the Councilman. It's dad bod to the max. I'm really happy to note that I did lose 5 pounds last week on my new low carb diet, and I have managed not to spill bong water on myself in the first 6 minutes of this program. So we're already way ahead of the game from last week.
Fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. What do we got for leading off?
Well, in case you hadn't heard, COVID is still a thing. The flu is still a thing. And RSV, SRV, Sisters with Voices, I don't know, it's still a thing as well. So apparently local officials are urging folks to remember that they really need to get vaccinated for all these things, regardless of how long it's been or how much they've been not thinking about it.
COVID numbers are on the rise again, just as we begin to worry over things like the flu and RSV. That possibility of a tridemic prompted health officials in the South Bay to renew their public plea for everyone to get vaccinated today. NBC Bay Area's Damian Trujillo is in San Jose with a closer look at the numbers and talk of a vaccine shortage.
The vaccine shortage is real in at least some parts of the country, but here in the South Bay, doctors say there is a sufficient stockpile, and they're urging everyone to get vaccines. In San Jose today, a clear message even before a word was said. Public health leaders walked out of their offices wearing masks. They say it's a precaution, one of several everyone should be taking as we head into the winter months.
We encourage everyone to wash hands, stay home when you're sick, and wear a mask in indoor crowded areas as well.
The county's deputy public health officer says she just looked at the COVID levels in local wastewater, and she didn't like what she saw.
What I see when I look at those data is that the transmission of COVID right now, especially in the San Jose area, is very high. This tells me that on average, when I'm indoor in a crowded place, I'm probably being exposed to COVID.
Bottom line, doctors are urging everyone 6 months and older to get the COVID and the flu vaccine soon. And they're calling on parents to get the RSV vaccine for all infants. While there are reports of a COVID vaccine shortage in some parts of the country, Dr. Sarah Rudman says that's not the case here.
We were fortunate to make sure we coordinated early orders and have received the majority of our supply. But it is different this year at different locations.
But is the plea enough to get people to roll up their sleeves 3 years into the COVID crisis?
I'm not sure. Not sure yet.
All right.
I have to think about it and go from there.
I have the vaccine and I have another booster. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to get the next one.
I want to acknowledge the amount of vaccine fatigue all of you must be feeling right now. And I'm here to tell you the truth about them. And the truth is they work. They do the job it's meant to do. They prevent severe infections, which can lead to hospitalization.
Anyone looking for the vaccine is urged to call their doctors or pharmacies. Anyone without insurance should visit vaccines.gov and look up the new Bridge Access Program for locations where the vaccine can be obtained for free. In the South Bay, Damian Trujillo, NBC Bay Area News.
Oh, man, I got to go get it. I did not like how I felt the first booster, actually. The first booster just fucking knocked me out.
Yeah. I still haven't experienced the full-on blast from the initial vax or the boosters. That's not to say I won't from the next one. I think they've said that every one and every vax and every shot is almost different. This is more like a PSA than anything else, everyone. We always say it at the end of the show, so maybe we'll just say it at the top of the show. Go get vaxxed. It's not a bad thing. And I'm really interested in hearing more from...
Uh-oh. I'm really interested in hearing more from the councilman, but we lost him. There, you're back.
Oh, am I back? Weird. Hello. I don't know what the young lady in the parking lot was thinking or what vaccine she's thinking about. If she's still unsure about the flu vaccine, she probably needs to get on the boat. But regardless, everyone out here on Twitch in the chat, you all know, go get vaxxed. Get that shot. They'll give you like a lollipop afterwards. It's really nice.
And I'm like the lady who was like, oh, I need to think about it more. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Like...
Mm-hmm. Right, that was what I'm talking about. Like, I need to think about it. Think about what more and more. What's more? Like, it's been, like they said, it's been 3 years. You know, okay, just say it. I don't want to get vaxxed. I don't think it's necessary, or I think that Bill Gates is trying to put a microchip in my head. Whatever you think, just say it. Don't be afraid. You're just on the news.
Yeah, it's definitely become like a cultural signifier in certain parts of like right wing and some kind of like I call it like dumb left discourse, right? Where, well, I didn't coin the term dumb left. I think that was Michael Brooks, the late great Michael Brooks coined that term. But it's like sort of this cultural signifier where you get to be like a rebel, but you're not really rebelling against anything,
Yeah. I don't really know what she's rebelling against. Honestly, like I'm still thinking about it. So she can go on thinking about it. That's fine. Just, hopefully she doesn't get sick and get everyone else around her sick while she's thinking about it. But anyway, yes, everyone else in our land, please make sure you're up to date. I need to check my booster actually to see if I'm up to date for COVID at least. I'm certainly flu season time. So go get your shot.
So up next is our segment called Winners and Losers. This is a segment where there are no winners, or if somebody happens to win, it was not who you're rooting for, except on the rare occasion where we fuck up and put a story in there where it is who you were rooting for.
Well, this story, there are some winners and losers because it's kind of all over the place, but it's more losers than anything else because I think the ones that are winners we're not really super excited about anyway. But yeah, so Gavin Newsom, the Gov, he every year the governor gets delivered around September time frame all of the bills that the state assembly and the state senate have passed. Both houses have passed, so they're ready to become law. All they need is his signature, much like the president. He can choose to sign them, or he can choose to veto them.
Or like if he doesn't do anything with them, they become law at some point, like in mid-October. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. If he sits on them, then it simply becomes law.
Right. It's like a de facto signature. Where it counts as him having signed it if he doesn't veto it.
Absolutely. It's saying something without saying anything, basically. But typically, the governor will make a point of signing and or vetoing every bill that crosses their desk. And with some fanfare, with no fanfare, with maybe trying to avoid fanfare. But this is sort of a recap of a number of bills that the Gav got to business with over the weekend. He just took Saturday and said, you know what? I got some time. I'm going to do some personal shit. I'm going to get my hair cut. I'm going to get my dry cleaning done. And I'm going to sign and veto a whole bunch of motherfucking bills. So I think he did like hundreds in one day. So let's see what happened.
Governor Gavin Newsom signing another round of bills and vetoing some others. Kenny Choi breaks down the new laws.
The bills range from climate change to healthcare costs to psychedelic drugs. The governor vetoed a bill that would have decriminalized the use of psychedelic mushrooms.
Boo!
Surprise.
San Francisco State Senator
I'm not surprised. He's politically ambitious. He doesn't want to be the mushroom candidate.
Right.
Weiner releasing a statement calling the veto a setback for a huge number of Californians. The governor said despite the veto, he supports further research. The governor also vetoed the Let Kids Hear Act. It would have required health plans to cover medically necessary hearing aids for people under the age of 21.
Wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, this one, the good wife is apoplectic.
That can help with the price of hearing aids. And Governor Newsom signed two bills focusing on corporations' impact on climate. One bill requires companies with at least $1 billion in annual revenue to publicly disclose their greenhouse gas emissions, even from activities like employee travel. It affects all industries, not just oil. The other bill signed by Newsom requires companies to release every 2 years reports disclosing climate-related financial risks and how they plan to reduce that risk. The governor also signing a bill greenlighting a project that will revitalize Piers 30 through 32 in San Francisco.
So no news on AB 969 because that's the one we've been keeping an eye on. They also didn't mention the insulin one, where he vetoed a bill that would have capped insulin prices.
Oh, snap. I did not know about that one. Which one is 969 again?
969 is the one that's basically Shasta forced them to do, and it says that you can't implement a hand count system if you have over 1,000 people in your county.
Oh, in election recounts?
Yeah, no, for just election counting, not recounts. They want to do hand counting as the count, and it's kind of widely believed that that bill came out of the state house in response to the nonsense going on up in Shasta County.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's see. I'll look it up while we're rocking through the docket here. But speaking to this recap of everything, it's so interesting. As you pointed out, the governor is certainly on that track. He won't be president. So he's doing things that he think people in Arkansas or wherever
not Arkansas. He doesn't have a chance
Michigan.
of winning. He doesn't have a chance of winning.
Michigan.
Yeah,
Michigan, Wisconsin.
The imaginary swing voter in the Pittsburgh suburbs.
Correct. There you go. Pennsylvania, North Carolina. He's looking to get they votes. So no psychedelic drugs, no cannabis cafes. Sorry, Matt Haney. And no hearing aids for kids. Even though, like Warren Buffett probably makes enough in dividends in like half an hour to pay for all of the hearing aids for all the kids in America. So I don't understand why we can't figure out a way to pay for that here. But who knows? There was probably a poison pill in the bill. Anyway, there's another one up next year from KTVU pointing out that the governor's not really interested in keeping kids from having unprotected sex, apparently.
Newsom vetoed a second bill today that would have made free condoms available to all high school students. He said the cost of maintaining that program was too expensive and cited the state's $30 billion budget deficit. The bill was trying to make free condoms available for all students at schools that serve grades 9 through 12, as well as make it illegal for retailers to refuse to sell condoms to youth. Supporters of the bill argued that it would have protected high schoolers from STIs and teen pregnancy.
Well, talks are set.
We can't afford it. If they can't afford it, then how the fuck does like the Billy DeFrank Center? If like everywhere you go, they hand out fucking condoms. Like
sure, and how have kids afforded it all this time, right on their allowance? Like the inside condoms are terribly expensive. Shit, who knows? The government could manufacture their own. They might be better than the ones that are out there on the market.
Just like
that's just sad. That's just sad.
I've been to like
budget.
I've been to like countless illegal raves where they were just handing out condoms at the illegal rave.
Yeah, no, I don't understand. And to couch it in budget, right? Like, I could see this one being another of, I guess, it looks good to middle America and to swing states to say like, no condoms for kids, have all the babies. But, and then you can justify it here by saying it's budget, but it's really, the condoms are breaking the budget, right? That's really the straw that broke the camel's back when it comes to the state budget is the condoms in high schools. Okay.
No, you could get them. I mean, you're buying them in such bulk too that
completely cents on the dollar.
You could probably even talk the condom manufacturers into giving them to you.
100%, or at least giving you a really steep discount. I mean, you're getting them for like pennies, and you're talking about a budget at the state level that's in the like trillions, I think, right? Like California is the 5th largest economy in the world. We're talking about condoms, man. Holy shit. Okay.
As it stands right now, can the schools take the initiative and do it if they would like?
Oh no, I don't think there's anything that was what I was wondering. Actually, was it some sort of budgetary concern he was going to cite? Was it some sort of moral concern? Was it a legal concern? And no, schools have been distributing condoms to kids for days, and other feminine hygiene products and things of this nature, have been distributed to kids through high schools for a number of years. There's no law against it at all. So if a district or a school wanted to say, hey, we're going to fund this and do this, fucking A, they could. In fact, in the school right across the street here in that district, some kids showed up one day at the school board and said, hey, some girls showed up at the school board and said, hey, we want feminine hygiene products in our bathrooms for free at the school because we're kids and we shouldn't have to pay for it. And we're at school and shit happens and we need our shit. So give us our shit. And sure enough, the board was like, oh shit, we've got a bunch of young ladies here who, have a very reasonable demand. Okay, here you go. They got it, right? Look at these splits. So I don't understand how hard this is or why this is so hard.
So this is going to be one of those things that's unfortunately going to be like one of those two Americas things, right? Where Santa Clara County, where I'm at, Alameda County, San Francisco County, LA County, fucking Sacramento County, San Diego County, those places, there's going to be condoms at the schools. And then you're going to have counties, not because of the money, but because people would freak out. Like Shasta County immediately comes to mind, or there'd be a big argument about it in maybe Riverside County or Yolo County, where you only live once, but I guess since you only live once, no condoms for you. Like, like it's going to be one of those things again, where like the kids in the cities are going to get access to this stuff, and the kids outside of the cities aren't going to.
Right. I think you're exactly right, and I think that it's going to be it just like anything else, an equity issue. It already is, frankly, and that's, if anything, why there was a push to get this state. I'm guessing that's what was behind the bill in the first place, was that it is inconsistent as far as which districts and which schools provide this, right, statewide. So, yeah, I'm sure this was a way to try to implement it statewide, and the Gav just said no for budgetary reasons. That's what he cited. Whatever his actual reasons were, what he said was it was a budget thing, and that just makes so little sense.
I mean,
but that was his reason.
On the other hand, like maybe the California teenagers be fucking more than we think, Councilman.
It's entirely possible. So it looks as though, yes, bill limiting ballot hand counting in California becomes law. So it looks as though Gavin did sign AB 969.
Ooh, Shasta County Board of Soups is going to. Oh, did it? Oh, I think they skipped this week.
Yeah. He signed into law. So this will limit the ability of local governments to manually count ballots less than a year after one Northern County's Shasta governing board ditched its contract with Dominion Voting and decided to tabulate results by hand.
Yep.
Yes, this is a blow to Shasta. And it looks like we'll get this. Hopefully, we'll get some video on this. Hopefully, in the future on Down Ballot. But it looks like the soups who proposed this are vowing to fight.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. It's probably not the end.
Well, you don't have to. We don't really have to cover it on Down Ballot, because anytime there's a Shasta Board of Supervisors meeting, guess what Catterday is all about? We have our own. It has its own goddamn bingo card.
That's correct. All right. Well, if there's ever any spillover, I'm sure we'll catch it here. We always do. It's sort of like it's up north, so it kind of drains down into the Bay Area through the Sacramento River, right? All the waste, the poo. Well, speaking of the poo, I want to just call back to our first clip here and just give a shout out to Dr. God, I'm forgetting her name now. Dr. Sarah, the other Dr. Sarah, who has been looking at our poo. God bless you. For looking at the poo and making sure that we are still getting COVID. Not everyone, it's a dirty job, and not everyone would do it. So I'm really glad there is someone who's looking at the poo.
All right, well, we're going to move on here. We got a driverless trucks and robot delivery service promise more headaches than robo-taxis. What could go wrong? Now it's going to be driverless delivery trucks.
Yeah,
don't worry about it. It's actually better because there's no people at all in the car to report problems.
Exactly. Like, they're not transporting people, they're just transporting stuff.
Some of the smartest cars on the road are often accused of making some of the dumbest mistakes. We're talking about driverless cars.
And while we've mostly heard about them being used to shuttle passengers, the same kind of technology being rolled out in other ways that promise to deliver convenience without a lot of headaches we've seen with robotaxis. Senior investigative reporter Bagat Jaban explains.
When it comes to navigating the streets of San Francisco, one of the major roadblocks for driverless cars has been the cars themselves. Literally. They've stopped in the middle of the road for seemingly no reason, sometimes abruptly hitting the brakes, and city buses.
A self-driving car with no driver.
They've and even swerved right into wet cement. GM's Cruise and Google's sister company Waymo have some of the largest driverless fleets in America and hope to surpass Uber and Lyft as the next generation of ride-hailing taxis.
While both companies acknowledge their technology isn't perfect, they say the vast majority of their rides go smoothly, adding that their own research has found their self-driving cars are in some ways safer than human drivers.
But despite all the attention on robotaxis, transportation experts tell us driverless technology is actually likely to expand faster and farther when it's used to transport goods instead of passengers.
This technology is challenging.
Berkeley research engineer Steven Schladover has been studying self-driving cars for 50 years.
The system that's not a good sign.
Designed to be more cautious drivers than they would be if they were carrying passengers. If the vehicle needs to slow down or needs to be deferential to other road users, there's nobody sitting in that vehicle who's getting impatient because they're not getting to their destination in time.
Which brings us to the new age of door-to-door delivery. The company Nuro has already deployed its self-driving cars to California, Texas, and Arizona for pilot programs where the robocars have delivered food and goods for companies including Walmart, Uber Eats, and Domino's.
Almost half of the daily trips taken by Americans are for these local errands that we have to run. Have our robot do your errands for you.
Dr. Andrew Clare
or ride your bike to the fucking store
for Nuro, and invited us into the company's Silicon Valley headquarters to check out how their cars work. Once one arrives at your home, a PIN is sent to your phone to unlock your delivery.
Please enter your 4-digit passcode.
And there it is. There it is.
Claire says convenience isn't the only thing fueling the technology. He says Nuro's cars are also delivering safety by reducing traffic-related injuries and deaths.
The safest trip is a trip that you never had to take in the first place, where you have this vehicle go and get your groceries or your pizza or your laundry for you and bring it back to your home.
Nuro's robocars first hit the streets in the Bay Area more than 3 years ago. Today, there are about 50 in California, but the delivery service has only logged several thousand miles on the road without a human in the car. Waymo and Cruise have each driven roughly 5 million driverless miles and have been in dozens of crashes over the past 3 years, according to the DMV.
I like how when it's a driverless car, they refer to it correctly as a crash instead of an accident.
The fault of other drivers, like when this person ran a red light.
They were just saying it's
state and federal.
A lot of times, the other driver was responsible, not the autonomous vehicle.
Transportation records show that while in self-driving mode, Nuro's cars haven't been involved in a single accident across the state.
What do you credit that to? From the vehicle design to our software design, safety is our number one priority.
Big rigs are also speeding ahead with driverless tech. Trucking is a $940 billion industry in the U.S. with more than 13 million trucks that largely rely on highway driving, which is typically more predictable and less complicated than city streets. But the trucking industry is down drivers, with a shortage of more than 78,000, which is only expected to double over the next decade.
The driving population is really aging rapidly, so they're going to age out and they can't find new drivers.
One potential solution is putting robots in control, which would also
look like you made that lane change rather recklessly. Did you see that?
Yes.
And follow one another more closely.
Very Batman cartoonish.
Between different trucks. It's called platooning, and it can dramatically improve gas mileage since there's less wind resistance. Autonomous big rigs are still largely in the testing phase, but the company Too Simple already has driverless trucks on the road in Arizona and China.
Imagine a world where you have self-driving trucks that can operate 20 hours a day, basically increase freight capacity at a fraction of the price of which today's trucks are being operated.
Cheng Lu is Too Simple's CEO and says cutting gas and human labor means trucking companies could reduce their budgets by 40%. And cheaper transportation could mean cheaper goods for consumers.
No, that's not what that's going to mean.
Considerably reduce costs.
Robot trucks have got to go. Hey, hey.
But not so fast, says Jason Rabinowitz, a leader with the Teamsters, the nation's largest trucking union.
Sign that bill.
More than 1,000 members recently marched to California's state capitol.
There you go.
To support a bill that would require driverless trucks weighing more than 10,000 pounds to always have human safety drivers inside. Teamsters represent tens of thousands of truck drivers across California and worry autonomous tech could drive away their jobs.
Should that be enough of a reason to steer clear of new technology?
We welcome new technology. We want to make sure it's safe. It's about jobs, but it's also about safety.
You want someone in the cab that could take over if needed?
Absolutely. You could have even bigger disasters than we've had with the robot cars just because of the bigger size, scope, and weight and speed of these vehicles. The threat to our safety is enormous.
The bill mandating human supervision inside self-driving trucks got bipartisan support in the legislature, but Governor Newsom vetoed it. calling it unnecessary, since current laws already allow the state to create the appropriate regulatory framework. Right now, self-driving trucks aren't even allowed on the road in California because the DMV is yet to release guidelines on how they should operate. Once they do, the first phase of testing is likely going to require humans to ride along. But eventually, California's highways could be lined with big rigs that have no one behind the wheel. With the investigative unit, I'm Begad Shaban.
Well, Begad has been staying on top of all the latest developments.
So this is, I don't know the answer here. Are like the current state of professional drivers, right? Do they, like, I'm not talking about like gig workers. I'm talking about like delivery drivers, right? Is their safety record better than the average driver? I would imagine yes, due to training, but that's just a guess. I don't have this information, but I would imagine the answer is yes. Also because like big rigs, like they were saying, that's a lot more highway miles, right? So you're gonna less accidents, per mile traveled on the highway than on city streets anyway.
Sure. There's also something to be taken into account here. They did mention that, a number of these crashes, as they refer to them, with the autonomous vehicles are caused by autonomous vehicles, right, or people-driven vehicles, and not the autonomous vehicle. So that's a very important distinction to point out, I think, because regardless of like the safety records and things like that, just percentage-wise, right? If you're putting a truck on the road 24/7, right, as opposed to 10 hours, 12 hours a day, right? You're just exposing yourself that much more to other people and other people making mistakes and causing crashes and causing problems and delays even. So, it's not a perfect system, but, I'll put my money on, the driving community, the folks who drive for a living. I'll put my money on them for being safer as humans than the average human. Absolutely. It does get into a fuzzy area because, as we've all probably heard or know to some extent, or think we know, sleep deprivation is a real thing in that community. Doing uppers to stay awake all night is a thing, and that has caused accidents and does cause accidents. So there is that factor also to consider, the health of the driver.
I mean, that's more the fault of their employer. Like systemically, it's the fault of their employer. Sure, like the individual has the agency, right? And they can just be like, well, fuck you, I'm going to sleep.
Yes.
But like systemically, like it's the fault of the employers.
Yeah, no, it's certainly it's a systemic problem, and that's why unions like the Teamsters exist in the first place, is to get good wages and benefits for these folks so that they don't need to overextend themselves like that. So hopefully there's a way where we can find our good friends in the Teamsters, our friends in the Amazon, the other industries that need shit delivered, can come together, and with the use of robots and even AI, they can figure out a way to make it better for everyone. Because if they need more folks driving, this could be a way to alleviate that, but it could also be a great way to attract more people to the industry, because it could make the job easier, frankly, or make the job more palatable by involving more AI and more technology. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. It's I think driverless big rigs, just because of the physics and people's level of fear and apprehension about it, I think that we're a ways away.
It's a lot to handle. It's a lot to think about. Even for someone like me who just casually is thinking about it, but I drive down I-5 constantly and up I-5 constantly, so I'd be exposed to this a lot. But I'm just like I said, I'm like I usually say, I'm much less concerned about the robot car than I am the human-driven car. Human-driven cars cause most of the traffic and the problems and the crashes. I'll go to my deathbed saying that. I would much rather have a world where we all just give it up and let the AI take over in that particular regard. But they could all lock the doors and trap us and kill us all, and then gas us and take over, and then it would just be a AI car world.
And people in chat have brought up, like, for longer hauls, it might be better overall to invest in the rail infrastructure. for the longer haul stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We could absolutely use a reinvestment in our rail. I think that's 100% right there. The chat is on to something, as always.
We got another story. I was reading up about this because people were complaining about this. The story is actually nothing, and I'll tell you why. Maybe the news will tell you why. But this story is actually completely meaningless. Starbucks is closing seven of their stores in San Francisco.
That's why I put it on winners and losers.
Starbucks is joining a long list of large businesses to shutter stores in San Francisco. Here's a look now at the cafes set to close. The locations primarily concentrated in the financial district, as well as one located in Nob Hill. KTVU's Amber Lee joins us now after speaking with customers and a coffee shop owner who used to work for Starbucks about all these closures. Amber.
Julie, we're in the financial district. Behind me is one of the Starbucks slated for closure. Now, many customers tell me they love the idea of having many Starbucks around because of the convenience. This Starbucks at the corner of Mission and Main in San Francisco's financial district is the go-to spot for people who work in the area.
I come twice a day, in the morning and right now. Yeah. It's just really nice to be able to walk across the street.
But as of October 22nd, 7 locations, including this one, will be closed. Most are concentrated in the downtown financial district area. In a written statement, a Starbucks spokesperson said in part, each year, as a standard course of business, we evaluate the store portfolio to determine where we can best meet our community and customers' needs.
Starbucks, at least from what I know, has always acted very quickly in shifting business strategies. If something's not working, they're gone.
Aiden Compton tells me he was store manager for the Starbucks on Stockton and Sutter Streets before opening up his own coffee houses in the North Beach neighborhood and on Fillmore Street. He says Starbucks has a lot of stores that are no longer generating the business they did before the pandemic.
But as soon as downtown cleared out, business dried up for everybody.
Starbucks says it is, quote, reevaluating our footprint, including adding and reopening some stores it had closed, including this one at Powell and O'Farrell at Union Square.
There's more variety here, so people have more to choose from.
Vasconiris is the former executive director of the Fillmore and West Portal Merchants Associations. He says business closures are never good, but that Starbucks is adjusting to changing consumer trends. The popularity of other types of beverage shops are likely a factor.
The emergence of the variety of boba shops that we see in the marketplace right now is a big reason for the closure of some of these mainstream coffee shops like Starbucks.
Some customers tell me they did not know that Starbucks is planning to close some stores in the city.
It's sad when I hear some Starbucks is closing.
Me in San Francisco, a lot of things are closing due to the economy, due to a lot of issues that are going with the city. So, I'm not surprised.
Starbucks says no workers will lose their jobs, that all employees affected by the closures will have the opportunity to transfer to another store. Live in San Francisco, Amber Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
So they did an okay job, but there was a statement made by Starbucks that just without saying it, they're like, we're oversaturated.
Yeah, absolutely. Oversaturated, and we also have some spots that we want to reassess opening. It's kind of like, a bus service, right? Or VTA with their bus service, right? They're set every now and then. They assess how the lines are doing, what are the most popular lines, how can they balance, the need of the needs of the community against their need to make, fair recovery. And they, cut and add, and sometimes add back lines, right? Depending on where the popularity is, frankly, at that point. Starbucks, like any business, does the same thing. They expand and contract because they have the ability to do so. I don't think Starbucks is going under anytime soon. Compton's Coffee House might go under, but Starbucks won't go under. So they'll be fine. Don't worry. And even if your local Starbucks did close, this is a perfect opportunity to explore and to try Compton's Coffee House or to try the other, the alternative artisanal cupcake shop that happens to serve coffee around the corner and maybe doesn't have poop in front of it. Go in, try the mint snickerdoodle pretzel peanut butter fudge ripple cupcake swirl coffee drink, and support a local business and get diabetes while you're at it.
So when I lived in San Francisco, there was a place where you could stand on Van Ness in front of a Starbucks where kitty corner was a Starbucks, and down the way on the end of the next block, you could see a sign for another Starbucks.
Oh, for sure. You used to live near a spot actually in the sort of Campbell, San Jose nether region where there literally was a Starbucks across the street from a Starbucks. The Starbucks next to the Whole Fizzy at Hamiltony and Hamiltony and Bascomie, and then right across the street in a little strip mall was another Starbucks.
Yeah. That's and they're just not as popular as they once were. They did that as a cash grab, right?
Sure, because they could. If they could, I would, yes, sometimes businesses make bad decisions, but opening up a store is a big decision, and I don't think that they do that without knowing that they're going to be fine, right? Like the traffic in one was not going to be this, like I said, the two that are across the street from each other, they're totally separate shopping centers with with totally separate ingress and egress, and it actually would be hard to like get from one to the other. So it's not like they're competing even in the morning commute. It's like you're going one way or you're going the other way, but you're going to hit a Starbucks either way, and that's their game.
And that game is maybe slowly going to change because there's just not as much demand anymore.
Sure. And there's more than, like they said, there's more variety out there, right?
And more. I mean, even though a lot of people are going back to work, people still be working from home, and maybe they just fucking make their own damn coffee. Like
how we do it. That's how we do here. Wake up, grind it up, put it in that pot, and drink it up.
So here we got get your shit together, and this is just another story about, is San Francisco going to clean itself up so that some tech bros can be happy? So let's let it ride.
While there are many iconic landmarks, San Francisco's tarnished image around the world is best described as a beauty in distress. Journalists based in San Francisco who work for foreign media have much to write about.
Especially since it changed a lot. It's not the hippie city anymore. Then the tech bros came in and a lot of money came in, and San Francisco changed dramatically.
Axel Pastenet works for a German business newspaper interested in how San Francisco grapples with its commercial real estate downturn.
The question is, will we see anything like this in Germany too, or in other cities?
That's an issue to be discussed in mid-November during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit hosted by San Francisco. Here's the APEC lineup. 21 world leaders, 30,000 delegates, 1,200 CEOs from around the world. Not only is the city's image at stake, but some say it is the beginning of its economic recovery. San Francisco has the potential to lure much-needed foreign businesses to its downtown, where 1/3 of the commercial space is vacant.
What do they think's going to happen at this conference?
So many things. Sparkles will fly out of London Breed's butt.
Nothing. No, people are going to go there. They're going to get drunk. They're going to cheat on their partners like they always do at the conference. And then they're going to be like, oh, the San Francisco's not as bad as everybody says it is. Now I got to go home. That's what's going to happen. Like this.
Hey, some of them will bring their partners and have relations with them, maybe.
Opportunity to have international folks here, folks from China, Korea, right? From Japan, people who are not, who are only hearing the stories and not seeing the reality of investment, to see the opportunities to invest in here and the paths forward, we think is a real strong point.
Where we're going to showcase our cutting edge thinking on artificial intelligence and on biotech and everything else that's out there, autonomous vehicles.
Don't focus on that.
Showcase on all of that. Like everybody that comes to visit, we think
trucks.
They're excited about it and might want to come and expand and be part of what we've got here. That can really help our economy.
San Francisco has just 1 month left to prepare. So far, the city has raised $20 million to make it an extravagant event, but also make it clean and safe. Right before his big Dreamforce convention, admittedly, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff became the squeaky wheel, suggesting he might leave if San Francisco didn't clean up. It worked.
Everything is perfect.
Wait, what, it worked?
Cleaned up, nice. I mean, I went down Howard Street. I'm like, what did they do? Pour fresh cement? I mean, it's like everything, like people, you can eat off the sidewalk. It's incredible.
Well, at least it lasted a few days during Dreamforce. Howard Street is no longer gleaming. And some of the people hanging out on nearby streets have resumed their activities. Mayor London.
Wait, that's that lady from the driverless car experience where she was mad that she had to walk the rest of the way to the museum, right? Same lady?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think I think you're right. And she's worried about people doing their activities on the street.
What's interesting is we had about 250 delegates from around the world who are like the advanced team for APEC. And we took them to the Tenderloin. We took them to neighborhoods and around the city. And what they said is, this happens where we're from too. This is not, we don't see what everyone is talking about when, as a major city, San Francisco, just like any other major city, it has its challenges.
Postanet disagrees. He says the international media will be reporting on everything they see, encounter, and experience.
Keep them out of the Tenderloin. If they come here, if they see this is...
But where are they going to get their cocaine?
Outrageous. If you come here and if you're not prepared for that, you really think, this is San Francisco? Oh my God.
So we are going to continue to chip at it. We're going to continue to work very hard to get people off the streets. We've taken the very bold, controversial steps of making arrests for not just dealers, but also users.
Meanwhile, neighboring counties are watching too.
San Francisco, obviously, they're going to have great motivation to try and spruce up the city,
which may see drug dealers quietly moving across county lines. San Mateo County District Attorney Steve Wagstaff warns of what may follow.
If we see it, you arrest them, and we will prosecute them, and we will lock them up. We're really concerned. We do not want San Mateo County in any fashion to turn into what San Francisco's become, and it won't, because we're not going to let it happen.
The APEC conference is also a chance for San Francisco to take center stage when the leaders of the two largest economies, the U.S. and China, sit down to meet in good faith. The meeting goes beyond trade talks. It is also an opportunity to convince more Chinese tourists to travel here, despite what they have seen or heard. Chinese tourists spent $1.2 billion in San Francisco in 2019. But have not returned in pre-pandemic numbers.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Now, there are two reasons why Chinese tourism has not returned to normal. One, direct flights were not available until just last month. They are slowly coming back. And number two, the valid concern about anti-Asian hate crimes. And you know that's going to be something that's going to be discussed at APEC. And the delegates are going to say, what are you doing, San Francisco? What are you doing about it?
Right, not to mention the hostilities and the tensions between the two countries right now. But we need those tourism dollars.
We do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, at least they mentioned the flights. That makes it a little tough because there's not a lot of, like, if you can't, like, there's a fucking ocean mostly in between the two places. I mean,
yeah, it's a very, very large ocean, in fact. And how do we know people aren't coming here to see all this? Fun and interestingness and character, we might say, in San Francisco and surrounding cities. Maybe that's exactly what people are coming here for. So let's, before we poo-poo it, let's think about that. But yeah, I found myself nodding and agreeing with London Breed in this particular piece, because she's kind of doing what we do generally, is they throw up our hands and say, look, it's a fucking city. It's a major city. And yeah, we got problems in a major city. Holy shit. Imagine that, right? We got people living on the street, right? We got, things happening, drug use happening out there. Things are happening in our major city. So, like, can you help us out and just, like, kind of roll with it and not freak out and think that things are going completely to shit and hell? I found myself siding with her in this particular piece. Not that I always do, but then she started talking about how we're going to start arresting users, and that's just like, got me. And then you take two steps back. But,
well, she's probably trying to appease the people who might be coming to the conference, being like, one, it's not that bad, but two, actually, we're going to deploy the shock troops.
Right, and you'll still be able to get your cocaine. We'll even bring you cocaine.
Right. Yeah. You want to, like I said, they want to curtail drug use. They could start fucking searching people at the conference.
Yeah, I mean, Uber Coke, right? It's gonna happen sooner or later. So
and not for nothing. Like we said about the last time. Yeah, like people, when there's all these people in this one location, it makes it harder to notice any given individual, be they a homeless or somebody you just don't notice that you should have said hi to because the conference was so busy. Like when you drop a bunch of people into like a 2-block or 3-block radius or just a block, you're not going to see everything because there's going to be people in the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So, continue to keep trying to clean yourself up, San Francisco, but you just got to accept at some point, and we have to accept, and the tech bros have to accept, reality. Mark Benioff, get over yourself, bro. And the funny thing is, Benioff actually was the one who fronted a bunch of money for, I believe, a affordable housing measure or some sort of, homeless housing measure. So I don't know what his deal is now, just because he's got a bunch of investors to answer to, I suppose.
It's too much Twitter, probably. Too much Twitter.
Yeah, it's too much everything. Too much Elon. Too much all of it. So anyway.
So we're going to move on to Down Ballot Watch, where things are more directly about local government and local government meetings and the goings on in our cities and counties here in the Bay Area. So this first one is about Sunol, and school board president is getting threats, but not for the reason you might think.
Yeah, we're following. This is a follow-up story from, I believe, last week. So let's just roll it.
More fallout tonight following a flag ban by the Sunol Glen Unified School District. The 2 school board members who voted to only allow the U.S. and California flags to fly are now facing serious backlash. KTVU's Brooks DeRose has been on the story from the very beginning. He joins us now in the newsroom. And Brooks, you sat down with the president of the school board who says he's actually receiving death threats over this.
Yeah, a handful of hateful attacks, he says, that threaten him and his family. So much so, he's even filed a restraining order against someone. This is the first interview Ryan Jurgensen has given since that flag policy was voted on. He says a small number of people are inciting anger, more controversy, and potential violence.
I did not expect this amount of vitriol from people.
For weeks, Ryan Jurgensen, the Sunol Glen Unified School District president, says he and his family have repeatedly been threatened.
I can take people disagreeing, but it's beyond the pale to start harassing children in an elementary school. It is uncalled for to harass my wife. That won't stand.
It follows a controversial school board decision that he stands behind to only fly the United States and California flags on campus.
The U.S. flag is the most inclusive flag that there is in the world. It stands for freedom. It stands for liberty. It stands for one nation, together, indivisible. And there is not one student in our school that is not represented by that flag.
The change in policy brought about backlash and protests, even claims of a direct attack on LGBTQ plus students and teachers. Jurgensen says that's not true and wasn't the goal.
Ultimately, we need to get down to teaching our children, educating our children in math, reading, writing, and focus on that and not focus on any other distractions.
But online threats and harassing emails have ensued, one claiming oppression was Jurgensen's goal, saying you may need to hide your kids and anything you love. Another reading, enjoy your weekend, it could be your last. Even social posts.
Kill Shop 44, yeah, I'm fucking
group. That is unacceptable.
I'm like highly skeptical
and I will not stand for that. And I will not roll over to these bullies, these deranged individuals who are inciting anger and violence.
Documents show Jurgensen has already filed a restraining order against at least one community member. He says with lies being publicly spread, he's taking safety precautions.
You never know in this world that we're in these days. People do crazy things.
4 of his children attend Sunol Glen. A 5th starts next year. He says some of the hate has also been directed at them. His father says he has no agenda other than to do what's best for the school.
Schools should be safe and inclusive for all people, for my kids, for everyone's kids, without exception.
Jurgensen says he has no intention to resign. Some Sunol community members plan to try to recall him. We've reached out to other school district leadership for comment, but have not yet heard back. In the newsroom, Brooks DeRose, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, a lot of faceless bullies out there. Brooks.
So let's set the pride flag aside here, right? How does this play out in like a world history class?
Like in the class at the school, like as this is happening.
Like if they're doing a fucking like a section on I don't know the United Kingdom, can they then not put up a fucking flag of the UK in the class like during their like section that they're doing on like the history of the United Kingdom, or if they were doing the history of the fucking country of Mexico? Like,
this has nothing to do with anything I think that goes on in the classrooms. It's just strictly, I think, related to like the official flagpole out front of the school. I believe that's pretty much, because I think that's all they could really control. I don't think they can control a teacher wanting to fly a pride flag in their class, or like you said, if it's instructional, obviously. But yeah, this is on the like what's flying on the official mast outside of the school, and it was not like they wanted to fly the pride flag or any of it permanently, but it was Pride Month, so there you go.
Okay. Well, I think I don't know. Is this guy going to get recalled? I don't know. It's a very small school district. This is one of those things where I think this is one of those things where I think one of these groups that are similar to maybe Moms for Liberty put up a few candidates, and then everybody's just like, oh, that guy lives down the street from me.
Yeah, 100%. Then that's exactly what happened here. Either that or no one was paying attention, and he seems like a nice white guy. I like how he's like, I've taken precautions. I have moved my family here to our bunker at our undisclosed second home in the mountains with our outdoor fire pit. And I am also suspicious of Killshot44 at yahoo.com. And some of the, but you know what? If he says he's getting threats, I'm not going to say he's not. And if you are out there and you're making violent threats against this guy, that's really not the answer. It's just not the answer.
Well, it's not going to accomplish your goal, and all you're going to do is end up in jail.
Yeah, it's not going to solve. It doesn't solve anything. So, like, really, even if you were to be able to get away with it and go through with it and kill this guy, right, and his family, where does that get you?
In fact, you martyr this guy.
What are you saying? Yeah, what are you exactly? And then the next wave across the country, remember Sanol, right? We're all going to run for school board and take over our local school boards and remind people that the American flag is the most inclusive flag in the world.
I couldn't believe that shit. That's how I knew this was some Moms for Liberty shit.
Yes, all flags matter. All flags
except they don't.
Exactly.
So up next, we got Mayor Ed 209 clashing with the Valley Transit Authority about emergency housing plans.
Yeah, this is another follow-up to a story we had a couple weeks ago. It looks like the VTA has approved the plans, but there's still some conflict between the city and the county and the transit folks.
Since taking office, Mahan has made tackling homelessness one of his administration's top priorities.
That's why the mayor wants to put 200 units of interim housing on some land owned by the VTA.
Devin Feely explains why tomorrow the transit agency may vote to pump the brakes on that project.
A person is a person whether you live in a box or a house.
Until just a few weeks ago, Lynn Shipman lived here in this row of ramshackle RVs and rundown cars in North San Jose. It's home for people without a home.
It's hard living outside. It's hard to go dig a hole when you need to go to the bathroom. It's hard to get food.
Ironically, the encampment is a short distance from the site where the city would like to build emergency housing, up to 200 units for the homeless.
It's an open space. It's been an empty field for years and likely would be an empty field for years to come if we don't use it to address this crisis.
You can begin to understand the mayor's...
Mahan likes it because it's good and out of the way.
Oh, 100%. And it's all that's near is like a VTA corp-yard, really. And even the VTA, like folks, of course, raised stink about it, like about danger and threats and safety. But yeah, no, it's completely, it's like out of the way. It's not near homes, right? Whatever. It's not even our land.
It's not near anything.
Right? Yeah, it's not even city land, right? So it's like very easy for him to say like, yeah.
Anchor Road in North San Jose. The VTA's maintenance yard takes up just a fraction of the property, and there are few neighbors nearby to object. But last month, it was VTA itself that was balking at the idea. A staff report described the site as, quote, inappropriate for use, citing safety and security concerns from employees who had experienced major workplace trauma, the 2021 mass shooting at its light rail yard. Mayor Mahan was undeterred.
And I believe we have to treat homelessness like a crisis, not just rhetorically, but in action. We need to scale up basic dignified shelter, and when it's provided, we need to require that people come indoors.
At present, the mayor says there are thousands more people in need than beds and shelter and services to help them. People like Ed Kavanayan, who's been homeless for the better part of 2 decades.
If I was offered a spot in it, I probably would take it. But also, I mean, if they have employment, I would take that too.
The VTA board is expected to decide this week if it's going to allow San Jose to build emergency shelter at the Zanker site or identify other locations they think are better suited to the project. But whatever they decide, the uncomfortable reality is there are likely to be people like Lynn and Ed living in society's shadow somewhere nearby.
People know that homeless people exist, they just don't have to look at us.
Well, San Jose currently has about 450 interim housing units. The mayor's goal is to increase that number to 1,000. The hope is to give people more options as they try to climb out of homelessness.
So the only thing that if VTA, they could be real smart here and propose a site next to light rail, not next to a light rail fucking office or whatever.
Courtyard.
Yeah. Propose a spot next to light rail.
Sure.
I think there was a spot like off in the south side, the Santa Teresa area, that was proposed that people got fucking pissed off about like a year and a half ago or something like that. Does that sound right to you?
That's correct. Yeah, no, there have been proposals to use multiple VTA park and ride lots, right, that have been drastically underused around light rail to do a variety of things. At one point, one of them was used for like a food truck gathering hotspot, like on a Friday night. But yeah, housing. I think the Santa Teresa site's being used for safe RVs, right? Although they're doing a bad job of getting the word out, and it's not being very well used. But yeah, these sites are ideal for this kind of thing, for experiments like this, and for getting more emergency housing online. Also, because it puts them right next to those transit lines, and for that gentleman in the video there, the clip, who said, "Hey man, yes, I'll probably take a emergency housing spot. I'll also take a job, right? And if they have a job, they need to get to the job. So having near light rail or somewhere where they can get to places, that's ideal. That would be fantastic. So yes,
yeah, not just that there's no transit there. There's fucking nothing there.
Right. No, that's true for the most part.
There's office buildings nearby.
This site in particular. So the mayor's getting what he wants. He's getting more, emergency housing sites. By the way, update. The VTA board did approve the site after much hand wringing. Unanimous vote, because they're all politicians at the end of the day, and they realize this is a good idea and a good spot, and they're not going to get too much blowback from the community on it. If they're just getting blowback from like the workers at VTA, well, they can figure that shit out. But I really have to push back again on the security and the safety concerns, and just say once again that house people cause crime.
They cited that rate. 2021 shooting. I don't believe that was an unhoused individual that did that.
I was just about to get to that. Thank you very much. It was a coworker of theirs. So not exactly like some strange unhoused person living in, the unit behind their building. No, this was one of their coworkers who walked in and shot and killed 8 of their colleagues. So if you really want to you want security and trauma concerns, look around the room.
Right. And that's just not just for VTA workers. That's like your family dinner table. You want to know who's most likely to off you. Unfortunately, who'd you eat dinner with?
It's in my family. It's me.
Yeah.
Like they look at me in the eye and they're like, "Oh, he could do it."
So
one day.
We're going to go up to the North Bay here, Marin.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like there's a homeless camp proposed for the Civic Center in Marin.
Speaking of using interesting spaces for housing,
we'll see what this is about. I know nothing about this, and I'm not even that familiar with the city of Marin or Marin County, other than I could find it on a map.
In Marin County, there is a proposal to house the homeless at the Civic Center, home to county offices, as well as concerts, plays, picnics, and the summer fair.
KTVU's Tom Vakar visited the Marin Civic Center, a place designed by Frank Lloyd Wright that was intended to be
civic center of the.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous.
Federal courts have ruled that cities cannot evict homeless encampments unless they can provide shelter space to all. So, Marin has numerous homeless camps in San Rafael and countywide.
This is the worst thing I've ever been through. My husband died. Things changed. Prostitution, drugs, everything. I don't deal with that.
Do you feel unsafe here?
Very.
Lifelong San Rafael resident Bob Epstein, who happens to be San Rafael city attorney, expressed his personal, non-official opinion on a possible fix.
On an interim, temporary basis, conducting some sort of sanctioned camping at the 160-acre county civic center property with an intent that it would be over at a time that we could get people in housing.
I think it's a great idea, really, because to keep us all together will keep us all being able to help each other out.
Having them together, we're going to be able to bring more resources directly to them.
With that, San Rafael, Marin's largest town, could remove encampments from public walkways, parks, and streets.
Encampments aren't good for the community. They're not good for the neighborhood. They cause a lot of concerns for residents and businesses.
Fact is, the Civic Center does have a lot of open space, and it is open space where you could put a camp. The problem is that there are neighbors who might not enjoy looking out on that, including an office complex and a very large hotel right next to it. But Marin's 10 other towns might also want to place their homeless folks here, which could turn it into a much larger homeless mini-city. The county already provides 160 beds for homeless throughout unincorporated Marin, saying a big civic center camp is unsustainable.
We have over 300 community events any one year. We have, this is a vibrant government center where our residents need to do their public business. We have the courts, people for jury need to use our jury parking lot.
Until all people have access to shelter, the growing homeless population will continue to expand. Tom Bakar, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
I like it. Put it right where them motherfuckers work.
Why not? I mean,
if they don't like seeing it, great. You got to see it every day on your way to work. Then maybe you fucking do something about it.
Exactly, right? But it's the irony is that in that building right there is where the fight's going to be over this, I'm sure. So we'll stay tuned to the public comment in Marin County. It's going to be fucking lit when that comes up. I can't wait to hear all the bitty white people from Marin who don't live anywhere near the spot probably coming in and being like, our community was going to get torn apart by this. Everyone's going to ship their homeless people here. San Francisco will ship their homeless people here, and we'll fall into the abyss of filth and crime.
Well, but we also have to understand this is almost like a non-story too, because it was like somebody who used to I guess they used to work for the county,
kind of work there, yeah,
and they're just giving their non-official, just personal opinion.
Right. Like, I just wanted to say, I'm sure this is something like maybe he was in the building at some point and he pitched this idea and it got like shot down because of, everyone knows how much of a fight this would be with the constituents. And so this is his way of, putting it out there and being like, hey, this is just my thoughts. Not that anyone's ever thought about this, but I'm sure there have been talks about it internally. And, he's just voicing what has been already discussed.
They have all that space. Maybe they could break ground on some fucking public housing.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
I know it's I know it doesn't solve everything tomorrow, but we would have started, if places would have started breaking ground on public housing 15 years ago, we'd have public housing now.
Sure.
And it wouldn't solve the entire problem, but boy, would it would probably be a pretty big release valve on the problem.
Sure. And land is always the issue. And there's land right there. Their school districts have enormous amounts of land that's unused and again could be used for housing for their employees or their kids and their families. So get on it, people. Get off your high horses or whatever is keeping you from having the political will to do something. It's a crisis, then act like it.
Marin County has a lot of money and a lot of space. It's not like San Francisco or even Santa Clara or Alameda County where we're starting to run out of space.
Yeah, no. They have the largesse, they have the space. They can make it they can make it nice. They can make it like glamping. It would be fine to look out on, honestly. If they can make it pretty if people were worried about people in the hotel looking at some sort of unkept wasteland.
People in the hotel be like, you're charging me how much for this hotel? Look at that site down there. Excuse me.
spend a few dollars and make it pretty. It's not that hard. And what do you know? More people might want to go live there, right?
Yeah. And I don't think this is going to happen. I think it's just they just needed like a story outside of San Francisco about homelessness, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Anything's a story when it comes to San Francisco.
So we got another thing. We're definitely way ahead of schedule this evening. This show's only supposed to technically, kind of, sort of supposed to be about an hour. So we're getting better. Doing all right. So this is Car versus Building, number 843. And if it's a Louis Vuitton store, I actually predict that the building will win.
Well, let's find out.
Walnut Creek police say officers interrupted a burglary in progress at the Louis Vuitton store after thieves used a car to break in. It happened just before 4:30 yesterday morning. Police say officers were on the scene within 1 minute of getting that call and saw roughly 24 people attempting to burglarize that store. The suspects used a stolen Land Rover to crash through the front window to gain access. Sky Fox was over the location at Broadway Plaza yesterday, and you can see crews there repairing that window. The suspects fled.
I have no idea.
Different directions. It's unclear how much merchandise was stolen.
Well, I apologize. No video of the actual incident.
We'll have to call that one a draw because we don't know.
I guess. I mean, if just judging by the extent of the damage, it looked like they're repairing their window, but it didn't seem like too much damage to the facade. So it looked like things were pretty hopping actually on the sidewalk. So not too much distraction. So I don't know. I kind of feel like structure might have won that one.
Yeah. Well, that's been the show, Councilman. Now that you have that fancy fiber connection, except for your dropout earlier, I think that's a result of your old computer, but we're on a pretty minimal delay here. So you want to close the show out?
That's fabulous. I would be happy to. And I can't wait to upgrade. Don't get me wrong, folks. Upgrade yo shit. This is the Councilman. I'm really excited to have joined you, Producer Dave, and you, chat, and you, Twitch viewers, and all of you listeners who download this podcast and make us the 9th best news podcast in all of California. That's fabulous, according to someone. Anyway, please remember, as we said at the top of the show, go out there and get vaxxed, get your boosters. Make sure you wear a mask if you're in a public space because everyone around you has COVID. The poop says so. But if you really want to take your pants off, I'm going to let you do that because it's totally optional. This is Audible Smoke. You're going to see us in 2 weeks. Because Producer Dave is going on sabbatical next week for his open mic. And we will see you next Tuesday. Have a great night, everyone. Peace out.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing green. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, like the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty. outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course. Shouldn't you be inside? I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily. We do what we want, what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want, what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Molly say that he like jamming and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Just what we want and enjoy the band. So sit back, just sit back and enjoy the band. We just what we want and enjoy what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Just what we want and enjoy what we want is to jam.
Every Saturday is Cat Day on Echoplex Media, and not only are we posting fucking cats, we invite all content creators to join our open panel. Visit echoplexmedia.com/panel to learn how to join. Every third Saturday is Operation Catterday, where we cover this week and last year and play the best clips from the cast of conspiracy characters that Now Space has learned to loathe. The show starts at 8 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/echoplexmedia. Find our full schedule at echoplexmedia.com.